Have you ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted with your whole heart? Someone who was supposed to have your back no matter what, only to find out they were the one orchestrating your downfall? That's exactly what happened to me when my own brother, the person I grew up idolizing, threw me under the bus with my boss, costing me a job I'd poured my soul into, and nearly destroying my entire career in the process. I'm talking about a betrayal so deep, it left me questioning everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and even myself. This isn't just a story of sibling rivalry gone wrong. It's a raw, messy journey through anger, heartbreak, and the dark path of revenge that I walked down to reclaim my dignity. From the gut punch moment I realized my brother had sabotaged me to a shocking twist that flipped my world upside down, I'm laying it all bare. Stick with me through this long, emotional roller coaster because I'm still wrestling with the fallout, and I need your help to figure out if I went too far, or if some betrayals deserve the kind of payback I dished out. Let's dive into the chaos of my life and see if we can make sense of where I go from here. My name's Jake, and I'm 29 years old, living in the bustling, humid sprawl of Houston, Texas, where the city's skyline glitters against the sticky summer nights, and the sound of traffic on I-10 is a constant hum outside my modest one-bedroom apartment in the Montrose area. I've been here for the past 5 years, carving out a life as a graphic designer for a mid-sized marketing firm downtown, a job I landed after years of freelancing and grinding through late nights with cheap coffee and endless revisions. Houston's a city of grit and opportunity, with its sprawling urban maze, diverse neighborhoods, and the faint smell of barbecue always lingering in the air. A place that felt like a fresh start after growing up in a small town just outside of Austin, in Round Rock, where my family, my parents, my older brother Travis, and the weight of our complicated history still lives in the same ranch-style house on a quiet cul-de-sac, surrounded by live oaks and memories I can't seem to shake. The emotional conflict eating at me isn't just about losing a job. It's the searing pain of betrayal from Travis, my brother who's 32, the guy I looked up to as a kid, who taught me how to ride a bike and stood up for me when bullies picked on me in middle school, only to turn around and ruin me for reasons I couldn't fathom at first. Growing up, Travis was my hero, 3 years older, confident, athletic, the kind of guy who could charm anyone with a grin and a quick joke. I was the quieter one, artsy and a little awkward, always trailing behind him, trying to earn his approval. Our parents, mom a school counselor and dad a mechanic, were loving but stretched thin, so Travis and I leaned on each other a lot. But as we got older, I started noticing cracks, his competitive streak, the way he'd downplay my wins, like when I got into a good design program in college, and he shrugged it off with a "that's cool, I guess." Still, I never thought he'd cross the line into sabotage. When I landed my dream job in Houston, I thought I'd finally made it, only to have it ripped away when my boss called me in one day, face grim, saying he'd received credible information that I'd been stealing client ideas and passing them off as my own, a lie so vicious it tanked my reputation and got me fired on the spot. The worst part? I later found out Travis, who'd been struggling with his own failing contracting business, had fed my boss those lies, hoping to knock me down a peg out of jealousy or spite. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife, leaving me drowning in rage, self-doubt, and a burning need to make him pay for what he'd done. Memories of our childhood together haunt me on quiet nights when I'm sitting on my apartment balcony, the distant glow of Houston's energy corridor flickering against the dark, the muggy air pressing against my skin as I try to reconcile the brother I loved with the one who destroyed me. I think back to growing up in Round Rock, to long summer days when we'd ride our bikes down to Brushy Creek, racing each other until we collapsed in the grass, laughing so hard my sides hurt. I remember the time Travis stood up for me in 7th grade, when some jerk stole my sketchbook and started mocking my drawings. He marched right up, snatched it back, and told the kid to back off, his protective glare making me feel like I had a shield no one could break. I can still picture our family camping trips to Enchanted Rock, the smell of campfire smoke clinging to our clothes as Travis and I stayed up late, whispering about our big dreams under a sky full of stars. Him wanting to build houses, me wanting to create art that mattered. Now, walking along the Buffalo Bayou trails in Houston, the city's urban hum a stark contrast to those rural memories. I ache for that bond we had, wondering when it turned into a battlefield, when his envy or insecurity grew so big it swallowed the brother I thought I knew. The struggle to rebuild my career after Travis's betrayal was a brutal slog, one that tested every bit of my grit as I tried to claw my way back from rock bottom in a city as relentless as Houston. After getting fired, I was a wreck. My savings drained fast, my confidence shattered, and my name muddied in the tight-knit design community where word travels quick. I spent weeks holed up in my apartment, the blinds drawn, ignoring calls from friends, refreshing job boards with shaking hands, wondering if I'd ever work again. I took freelance gigs for pennies just to pay rent, designing logos for shady startups, my pride taking hit after hit as I sat in coffee shops along Westheimer Road, the buzz of hipsters and artists around me a reminder of the life I'd lost. I started networking again, forcing myself to attend industry meetups at local bars like 13 Celsius, plastering on a fake smile while inside I burned with shame and anger at Travis. Slowly, I rebuilt, landing a contract with a small boutique agency. Then another, spending long nights at my desk with the distant roar of Houston's nightlife outside, proving to myself I wasn't the failure my brother had painted me as. But every small win felt hollow, tainted by the knowledge that the person I'd trusted most had tried to bury me. The breaking point came about a year after the firing, on a sweltering August evening in Houston, when the weight of his betrayal and my own festering resentment pushed me to a dark place I didn't expect to go. I'd been piecing my career back together, but the anger hadn't faded. It grew, a constant simmer every time I thought of Travis, who hadn't even apologized, just acted like nothing happened during the rare family calls I couldn't avoid. That night, I was alone in my apartment, the AC humming as sweat still beaded on my neck, scrolling through LinkedIn when I saw Travis had posted about a big new contract for his struggling business, bragging about hustling hard. Something snapped. I couldn't let him just move on while I was still picking up the pieces of what he'd broken. I spent hours digging online, fueled by rage and cheap beer, until I found dirt, shady reviews from past clients claiming he'd cut corners on construction jobs, even botched a few projects. I didn't think twice. I created an anonymous account, compiled the worst of it, and sent it to his new client, knowing it could tank the deal. When I hit send, sitting there in the dim glow of my laptop, the city's distant sirens wailing outside, I felt a sick mix of triumph and guilt, wondering if I'd just become the monster I accused him of being. The unexpected twist came a few months later, and it turned my stomach, leaving me questioning everything as I sat in a quiet corner of Hermon Park, the sprawling green space a rare escape from Houston's concrete jungle, watching families picnic under ancient oaks while I wrestled with what I'd learned. I'd been keeping tabs on Travis from a distance, expecting to hear his deal had fallen through, a twisted satisfaction in knowing I'd hit back. Instead, I got a call from Mom, her voice shaky, saying Travis had lost the contract and was spiraling, drinking too much, fighting with his wife, on the brink of losing everything. But then she dropped the bomb. Travis hadn't sabotaged me out of jealousy alone. Apparently, he'd been drowning in debt, desperate to keep his business afloat, and a shady friend had convinced him that if he could discredit me, he might poach one of my firm's clients, a lead he thought could save him. He'd regretted it almost instantly, Mom said, but was too ashamed to face me, too scared I'd never forgive him. Sitting there, the park's calm beauty mocking my inner chaos, I felt a storm of emotions, fury that he'd still done it, pity for his desperation, and a deep guilt for my revenge, wondering if I'd pushed him over the edge when he was already breaking. Had I misjudged the whole thing, or was I still right to fight back against such a personal betrayal? In the months that followed, I tried to process this new reality, building my life in Houston while grappling with the fallout of both our actions, as the city's endless energy became a mirror to my restless thoughts. My career was stabilizing. I'd landed a full-time gig with a better agency, working on campaigns for local restaurants and startups, spending long days in a sleek office near the Galleria, the hum of creativity a distraction from my personal mess. I'd wander through the Houston Museum District on weekends, losing myself in art exhibits at the MFH, trying to find inspiration while questioning if I'd gone too far with Travis. Therapy became a lifeline. I started seeing a counselor in Midtown, unpacking the anger and guilt in a small, quiet office, journaling my thoughts late at night as the city's lights blinked outside my window. Travis hadn't reached out, and I didn't either, the silence between us heavier than Houston's humid air. I drive out to Galveston on rare free days, the Gulf's salty breeze a brief escape, staring at the waves and wondering if I destroyed any chance of reconciliation by striking back, or if his initial betrayal had already burned that bridge for good. Reflecting on my past with Travis became an almost daily ritual as I tried to make sense of where we stood now, especially on long walks through Discovery Green, the downtown park's vibrant energy clashing with my somber memories. I'd think about the time Travis helped me build a treehouse in our Round Rock backyard when I was 9, his patience as we hammered nails crookedly, laughing at our terrible carpentry skills. I remembered late-night talks in high school, when I'd confide in him about crushes or fears of failing, his steady advice making me feel like I wasn't alone. I'd recall the small hurts, too, times he'd belittle my art to friends, calling it a hobby not a career, or how he'd take credit for family wins I'd contributed to. Walking past the park's interactive fountains, kids splashing in the water, I'd wrestle with whether I'd been blind to his flaws all along, or if life's pressures had turned him into someone I didn't recognize. I thought about the last time I saw him, a tense Thanksgiving 2 years ago at our parents' house, his forced smile hiding whatever guilt or resentment he carried, and wondered if he'd ever admit what he did, or if I'd ever confess my own retaliation. As time passed, bringing Houston's scorching summers and brief, mild winters, I built a fragile new normal, though the unresolved rift with Travis lingered like the city's ever-present haze I couldn't escape. My career was thriving. My agency gave me a promotion to lead designer on a major project, a chance to prove myself, and I'd come home to my apartment, the quiet heavier than the traffic noise outside. I started connecting with more colleagues, joining happy hours at bars like La Carafe in Old Market Square, their camaraderie a balm to old wounds. But even that couldn't replace the brother I'd lost. I'd explore hidden gems like the Rothko Chapel on quiet evenings, the serene space a place to think, wondering if I'd ever feel at peace with how things ended. I bought a cheap camera, snapping photos of Houston's street art and skyline. Murals in the East End, reflections in the downtown canals, a small act of reclaiming the creativity I'd nearly lost in the fallout. But each shot felt like a question. Was I building this life for me, or to prove I didn't need him? I'd scroll through old texts from Travis on my phone, jokes and memes from years ago, and feel this pull to reach out, to see if he'd changed, but fear of more betrayal held me back. The grind of chasing my dreams while carrying this emotional baggage felt like navigating Houston's endless traffic with no clear destination. Each step forward weighed down by a past I couldn't fully leave behind. I'd spend long nights on design projects, the glow of my laptop casting shadows in my small space, pushing myself to meet deadlines while fighting exhaustion and the nagging doubt that I'd never be whole without family to share it with. I started taking on passion projects, pro bono work for local nonprofits, designing posters for community events like the Houston Rodeo. Each small win a brick in the wall of my new life, but I'd still lie awake, the sound of late-night partiers outside, wondering if Travis ever thought about me, if he regretted his choices as much as I questioned mine. I volunteered at a local art workshop, teaching teens to use design software at a center near the Third Ward, hoping to find meaning in giving back, but even that felt like a distraction from the real issue. I'd drive out to the San Jacinto Monument on quiet days, staring at the historic battlefield, asking myself if healing meant confronting him or if there was a way to move on without reopening old wounds. Houston had become my battleground, with its vibrant chaos and hidden corners, but I wasn't sure if I could keep fighting my past without facing it head-on. The weight of judgment, both Travis's betrayal and my own harsh retaliation, didn't fade easily. Even as I carved out this new path, each memory of his actions a reminder of how deeply family can wound. I'd run into mutual acquaintances sometimes, folks from Round Rock visiting Houston, their casual, "How's Travis doing?" questions reopening old scars, even if I knew they meant no harm. I started avoiding certain social spots, like a popular taco joint on Navigation Boulevard, where I'd risk those awkward encounters, opting instead for solitary drives along the Sam Houston Tollway, where the open road let me breathe without feeling exposed. I'd park at a rest stop, watching the city sprawl in the distance, and wonder if I'd ever shake the label of the brother who got screwed over, or if Travis's lie had stuck for good in people's minds. I even considered moving again, maybe to Austin or Dallas, somewhere no one knew our story, but the thought of running felt like admitting defeat, like I couldn't build a life strong enough to withstand the past. Houston had become my home, with its relentless hustle and hidden beauty, and I wanted to believe I could stand my ground here, even if it meant carrying the weight of what we'd both done. Now, as I sit here in my apartment, the soft glow of a desk lamp illuminating my latest design mock-up, the faint sound of a neighbor's music thumping through the walls, I'm still wrestling with what to do next. I've built something real in Houston. My career is on an upswing. I've got a small circle of work friends who feel like a makeshift family, and I found a kind of peace in the city's chaotic rhythm that I never had back in Round Rock. But knowing the truth about Travis's desperation, knowing he didn't just act out of spite, but out of a broken place, has me questioning if I went too far with my revenge, if I should have tried to understand his side before hitting back so hard. I hate the thought of him struggling, maybe hating himself for what he did, carrying his guilt while I carry mine, but I can't ignore the pain he caused, the way his lie made me doubt myself in ways I'm still unlearning. I've got a big project deadline coming up, a campaign that could be a game changer for my career, and I keep wondering if I should tell Travis about it, if sharing my success might open a door between us, or if it'll just stir up more unresolved hurt. My phone's right here, his number's still in my contacts, but I don't know if I'm ready to call, to risk being hurt again, or to admit I've missed having a brother more than I can put into words. So, I'm turning to you guys, because I'm at a crossroads and I could really use some perspective. If you were in my shoes, would you reach out to your brother, try to talk it out, maybe even forgive him, even if it means risking more pain? Or would you keep your distance, focus on the life you've rebuilt, and let him make the next move if he's truly ready to own up to what he did? How do you balance the pull of family with the need to protect your own heart, especially when the betrayal came from a place of desperation, not just malice, and when your own actions might have made things worse? I want to believe there's a way to have both, my independence and some kind of connection with him, but I'm not sure how to get there without losing the ground I've gained. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm honestly torn, and I'd love to know what you'd do if you were standing where I am right now, wondering if healing means letting go of the past or finding a way to rebuild it together, scars and all.